Kate's in the kitchen and you're invited too. I'm Kate and this is my kitchen. Happy 4th of July. Let's see if they work. For my 4th of July party, I'm going to make it easy on myself. I'm going to prepare everything ahead of time. I'm only going to do a few dishes that are homemade, and then I will supplement with store-bought items. So I'll probably make some homemade potato salad. The recipe for that is on my video for sticky chicken. And then I'm going to make hot dogs on the grill. Sounds very simple and boring? Not at all. I'm going to have a toppings bar, and I'm going to have suggestions there for people how to assemble a Chicago dog, a chili cheese dog, but also some dogs of my own creation. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to make is an onion relish for the hot dogs. You can make this several days ahead. It actually gets better as it sits in the refrigerator. We had this a lot when I was young, and now it's basically impossible to find anywhere except online, and even those aren't quite what I remember. So I'm going to make my own. I think the basis of this sauce comes from New York City and the hot dog vendors there, so I'm going to do my twist on that. I've got 2 sweet onions that I've sliced very thinly. I've got just a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, about 2 cloves of garlic, I mince them up very fine, a teaspoon of brown sugar, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I've got some tomato paste. I like to buy it in the tube because I never end up wasting. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then just a pinch of cinnamon, and a couple of drops of your favorite hot sauce. You need a large skillet with a lid for this. I'm going to go and turn this on and heat up just a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. You can use canola oil as well. I just like the little extra flavor that olive oil brings. We're going to start by sauteing the onions. It looks like a lot. It is 2 whole onions. I use sweet onions, but you can really use whatever kind of onion you like. And we just want to saute these till they get soft. We are not going to caramelize them. And as I said, it looks like a lot, but there's a lot of water in onions. And as you saute these, it's going to shrink down considerably. As you're sauteing these, try to break them up. They will eventually come apart, but they'll saute better if you try to get them separated now, or you can even separate them as you put them into the frying pan. My onions are sauteing nicely. We are not looking to brown them, just get them soft. At this point, I'm going to sprinkle on my salt. When I was little, my dad used to eat onion sandwiches with white bread and butter and sauteed onions, and I thought he was so weird. But when you saute some onions in some butter or olive oil and just a little bit of salt, which actually brings out their sweetness, I understand where he was coming from. My onions are pretty soft now. I'm going to add the garlic and stir that in. And just about a minute on the saute here. I don't want the garlic to burn. I'm going to make a little hole in the middle here and put in 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. When I'm using tomato paste, maybe a little more than a tablespoon. When I'm using tomato paste, I like to actually brown it a little. It kind of brings out its flavor even more. And then I'm just going to stir it in. And now I'm going to add my balsamic vinegar, my brown sugar, Dijon mustard, just a pinch of cinnamon. You don't want a big, strong cinnamon flavor. You're not actually even going to taste it. It's just putting a background note in there, but if you leave it out, you'll miss it. And then just maybe a shake or two of your favorite hot sauce. Depends on how spicy you want this, but it's not really supposed to be a spicy sauce. It's actually supposed to be sweet and tangy and full of onion flavor. And then our water. We want to get this all combined. Get the brown sugar mixed in, the tomato. And we're going to put a lid on this. We're going to put it on the lowest setting that you can get on your burner. Cover it. And let it cook for about an hour. So you can do other things while this is going on. Check it once in a while to see if it needs any more liquid. You can add more water. One of the hot dogs that I'm going to do is going to have sauerkraut on it. But I like to doctor up my sauerkraut just a little bit. So I got about a tablespoon of oil in there. And then about 2 tablespoons of whatever onion you have on hand. I'm going to saute that. Sauteed the onions till they're soft. I'm going to add 1 can of sauerkraut. You don't need to drain it. Give that a toss. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now my German grandmother would also add caraway seed in here, but when you're having a large get-together, caraway is one of those ingredients people like it or they hate it, so I'm going to leave that out. And then a cup of water. And the reason we're putting the water in here, we just want this to cook low and slow until all the flavor gets combined. I'm also going to add just a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. Don't need any salt. There's salt in the brining liquid. Yeah, little is a relative term. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that way down and let that cook probably a half hour or so. You can add more water if you need to. You just want all these flavors to come together.